woke up different. This one is a spooky story. Now, I don't know if you guys are familiar with astral projection, or if you've ever astral projected or went to sleep and then woke up outside of your body. Then this is a story regarding that. So there was this girl, we're gonna call her Sim, right? So Sim, she was very much into astral projection. So she would like literally leave her body, allow her soul to leave her body at night and go explore. Now, the thing is, she never understood the gravity of doing something like that. So she used to just be like, it's whatever, it's cool, right? So every single night, she wouldn't have a problem. She would go to sleep, wake up in the middle of the night, out of her body, and she would roam. And she says now, during her astral projection, like, she would roam absolutely any and everywhere. Like, she can go to her parents' bedroom, she can go to her ex's house, she could go to Australia, she could go outside of this world, she could go absolutely anywhere. She says astral projection is literally one of the most beautiful and freeing experiences of her lifetime. And she didn't even really know what the term was or what she was doing. Now, she says throughout her time astral projecting, she would run into quite a little bit of trouble because she would project into some places that she wasn't really allowed to be in. She also mentions that she would try to get inside of places like the White House, Area 51. And she says every single time she would be met with something. And she said there was this one place in this world that she was trying to break into, and she says she can't. Like, she tries to go to tombs, like many different places via astral projection, and she says that there's a lot of places that you can access and a lot more places that you actually cannot access because the government actually already knows about astral projectors. Like, they know that this is a thing that happens. And I'm not here to argue about whether this is true, fake, or not, because like the CIA literally released a 300-page document, like I don't even remember how long this document was, about how astral projection is real and about how like you can astral project like pretty much just about anywhere. Now, I don't know if the documents goes into details about like places that you can and cannot go, but all I know is it did definitely release a document that talked about astral projection and the possibilities of it and even how to get into it, because everything is possible in the spirit realm. So Sim, she was pretty much a pro at this, okay? She says, now Sim is Mexican. I should have led with this. Sim is from Mexico, okay? But she lives in America. So very, very gifted at astral projection, and she would just fucking do this all the time. However, she kind of ran into some trouble. Yeah, she ran into some trouble. One day, while this is regular, right? She left her sleeping body on the bed and went about her business. So then she says when she actually started to freak out, and her freak out remained a really long time, was when she came back into her bedroom and noticed that her body was no longer laying on the bed. So to Sim, that's very weird because she left her sleeping body there. It shouldn't have moved. What the hell? Where, like, this is like, if you're stuck in the spirit realm, you're fucked. Like, there's no other way to put it. Like, this is not a good sign. This is not a good thing. So at this moment is where Sim would literally start to freak out because, like, what do I do? Like, where do I go? I can't stay here. Like, what is going on? So then Sim now goes to look for her sleeping body because, like, where could she be? So now she's walking around, and keep in mind, in the spirit realm, there is no concept of time. So Sim has no idea how long she's been gone, like what is going on, like where she could possibly be, what happened, did she get caught, did she wind up someplace that she wasn't meant to be, what the happened? So Sim goes and decided to look around her house. Now Sim is walking around in spirit form, which looks exactly like her physical body. So she walks around, goes downstairs into her house, and keep in mind, nobody can see Sim in her spirit form, right? So Sim arrives downstairs just to see her body, herself, sitting at the dinner table with the family having breakfast. Sim is like, I don't know who that is at the table, but that's not me. That's hello. So at this point, Sim is trying to get everybody's attention. So Sim is like waving back and forth like, hello, excuse me, please. Like, guys, can you see me? Can you help me? And nobody is seeing her except for Sim. So the girl, Sim, the one who is the body, her body sitting there with the family, is able to see the spirit, literally like trying to get the family's attention, and nothing. So the whole day goes by and Sim literally carried on with her life, went to classes, everything, and basically Sim's spirit just followed her body because, like, what the actual heck? So she says that since she would follow her body everywhere, because at this point she was not letting her body get out of her sight anymore. So she would follow this girl around, and she says that it was weird because so she was following her all day. And the weird thing is, that day after school, Sim actually took her to a cemetery where she was talking to other spirits. And it's like, yo, what is actually happening? Sim is freaking out. Nobody can see Sim, and Sim's family is thinking that Sim is fine because Sim is up and interacting with them, except Sim's brother and Sim's sister would notice that there's something definitely weird about Sim. So when Sim comes back to the house, she wouldn't do the normal routine that she would do with her brother and sister. So that already gave them the idea that maybe something was wrong. And every time they would try to check up on Sim throughout the night or throughout the rest of the day, Sim wasn't having it. Like, it's like Sim had an entire completely personality change. Like, how did you go from the sweet, sensitive, caring sister to this? Like, we don't understand what's going on. And then on top of that, like, your demeanor is very different. They also noticed that Sim's eyes looked extremely different. Now, I don't know exactly what they mean by her eyes look different, but they said that just looking into her eyes, they can tell that that was not their sibling. And something about looking into her eyes and looking into her soul, they were able to pinpoint that Sim in that moment, at least in that body, had no soul, and that they were aware that something had happened to their sibling. So they would run back and tell the parents, like, yo, like, I'm pretty sure that something's going on with Sim. Sim is not normal. Boom. In the meantime, Sim, her spirit is still following her body, and Sim's spirit now is in her room and she's winding down. So now Sim's spirit, now keep in mind, whoever is possessing Sim's body can see Sim's spirit. So Sim is like, yo, I don't know who you are, but you need to exit. You need to give me my body back. Like, you need to get on out of here. Like, I need my space back. Like, I need my family back. I need my life back. At this point, Sim has been stuck in the spirit realm for a whole freaking day. So this is like, it's really starting to feel like death for her. And this spirit in her body is simply not budging. So Sim decided, okay, well, I guess we're gonna have to tussle for my body. Sim's spirit would go and try to attack this entity in her body and try to slide her spirit back into her body. And no matter what she tried, no matter what Sim did, nothing worked. Nothing worked. So at this point, Sim is stuck. And she described that moment and those times, because she says that there's no time in the spirit realm, so it all just kind of felt like one big moment. And she said that one big moment in her life felt like the scariest, loneliest, and just like she didn't even know what to do. Because in the spirit realm, unless somebody is unalived, or unless somehow somebody's astral projecting into the exact same space that she is, no one would be able to help her. As far as her mom and dad is concerned, their daughter is fine. Even though the brother and the sister went to the family and told them, like, she's acting weird, the mother and the father had no reason to believe otherwise. So they just kind of left it alone, went to work, and just cool. So now Sim, the real Sim, is actually stuck in the spirit realm somewhere after that one day that she astral projected. So then she continued. So then the next day would go on. The next day would go on, and the next day would go on. And she says nothing would happen. And she sat there moment after moment after moment. She continued to follow her body around and seeing her physical body do things that she would never do. Drink, do alcohol, drink, drugs, and all of those things like that. Those are not things that she did, but she was sadly watching her body eat foods that she would never eat. She said that whoever took over her body had such a weird appetite because this person would eat meat raw. Like they would go to the grocery store and eat raw goats. They would drink blood. And so this creature had whatever it is that took over Kim's body was becoming binded to her body now and was doing things that Kim would never actually do. So within all of those things, she also became violent in school. So whenever anybody would say anything to Sim, she would act out. But not just act out any sort of way or anyhow. No, like she would try to beat these people up. And she had this strength to her that nobody's ever seen. To the point where Sim winded up getting just suspended from school because like, yo, you're wildin' right now. Like you're wildin'. Sim literally went from an A+ student, a thriving student in school who just astral projected once in a while, to now a student that got kicked out of school because she became unrecognizable. So now at home, she starts spending more time in her room, and that is when her parents would notice that something is in fact wrong, because there's no way you had that drastic of a change. But her parents would believe that maybe something happened that they weren't aware of, you know, something human happened that they weren't aware of, and they were gonna just try to speak to their daughter and try to get to the bottom of it and understand why. At this point in the spirit realm, Sim's spirit just completely kind of gave up. She was like, she's accept that she's gonna be a ghost for the rest of her life, and there's no way she was gonna get her body back, because at this point she doesn't know what to do. And she did pray, by the way. She did pray, but she was still stuck ultimately. So she decided that she was just gonna give up, and whatever happens just happens. I guess she'll just be a ghost. So one day her parents decided to have a conversation with her because, like, yeah, you're wildin'. And within that conversation, that is when the parents would start to get to the bottom of what the brother and the sister came to the conclusion of earlier, that this is not their daughter. Upon looking into her eyes, the same thing that the brother and the sister would say was that she looked absolutely lifeless. She looked like she didn't have a soul. She looked like she wasn't a human who felt anything. There was no emotions coming out of this girl at all. She was different. Like, I know I've said this before, but she literally was different. So that's when the parents would like, okay, this is weird. Maybe we should go talk to somebody about this. They assumed that somebody maybe was working witchcraft on Kim. That's where the parents' mind went, because the family is very familiar with Santeria, I believe. She said the family is very familiar with Santeria, so they thought that somebody actually hexed her. Somebody did something to her. Parents came into Sim's room and tried to do an egg cleanse on Sim. And when they attempted the egg cleanse, once they put the egg on top of her head, the egg shattered. Like, the egg literally shattered. So it wasn't even like they could go through with it or anything. They took another egg and tried over and tried again. And inevitably, once they put the egg near her face, this time the egg shattered and turned into blood. And that is how the parents knew whatever was going on with Sim was definitely out of their control, and there was nothing that they could have done. So now at this point, that started to provide Sim's spirit with a little bit more hope, because maybe at this point they might actually get to the bottom of this and actually help her escape this spirit world that she's stuck in, and like actually get back to her life and actually try to heal from this. So when Sim's parents noticed that the egg cracked into, they took a video, they took pictures, and they decided to go to somebody who knew what they were doing and who were a little bit more gifted in that craft. So they told them about what's going on, what they saw through her eyes, and that she doesn't look like she's here, and that they don't know what's going on with her. They told them about the eggs, the 2 eggs, the first one that cracked and the second one that cracked and turned into blood. So they're literally just saying what the problem is, what the issue is to this guy. And this guy is like, yo, you're gonna have to bring her in so we can see her. So the parents come back home to get her, to bring her to the priest. When they get home, Sim is nowhere to be found. Sim, where are you? Sim is literally nowhere to be freaking found. Sim has decided in that moment, since she suspected that the parents were going to a priest, decided that she was going to run away. Gotcha. Oh, this is a 16-minute story. Okay, I was gonna do a part 2, but I'm not, because I did promise I was gonna do more long form story time. So let me just continue with the story. So Sim decided that she would run away, which would make everything a lot more difficult, because we need to locate this girl to figure out what is wrong with her and how this priest can help her. So they came back home. 2 days went by, no signs of Sim. Now the parents are extremely worried. However, it does confirm that there is definitely something up with Sim, because this is definitely not like her. So now the parents went even harder in trying to find their daughter, to rescue her daughter from whatever was happening. So they go back to the priest and they told the priest that the daughter was missing. So they bought the priest, and the priest informed them to go home and come back with one of Sim's belongings to bring it into him, and so he can do something called a locator spell, which actually is a thing. So they bought one of Sim's things to the priest, and the priest located her location. However, when the parents showed up to that location, they didn't find Sim. Why didn't they find Sim though? Because Sim's items, Sim's belongings, only located them to Sim's soul, not her physical body. So even though they tracked down Sim's soul, Sim herself, the physical body of Sim itself, was still somewhere on the run, on the move. So the actual spirit itself is now taking it upon herself now to go find her physical body and to stay as close to her physical body as much as possible, and hoping that her parents just try again and just really just find her. So at this point, Sim's spirit is like, I will never leave my body out of sight again. Like, I will always stick wherever she goes. I will stick there. And the good thing about this entity that took over Sim's body, they never took Sim out of the country. They never left the States. So it would have been ultimately, like, if Sim was in New York, like, Sim still was probably in Queens or in Long Island the furthest. Like, they didn't go outside of the States. So Sim's spirit decided to stick with her body, and now Sim's parents, because they didn't find Sim after they paid money for this locator spell, it started to bring doubt towards the priest. Like, do you actually know what you're doing? Do you know what you're doing? Do you like rah? So then the parents would go back to the priest in frustration, because, like, you just fucking scammed us. We went where you told us she would be, and she was not there. And the priest, being authentic and being like, no, like, this is literally where spirit sent me. This is where she should be. So if you didn't see her, I don't know. Maybe you guys should have looked a little bit more. So then they're like, okay, how about you do this again? And this time you come with us. The priest would agree, because he's not lying. He would do the locator spell one more time, and he would locate Sim. They go and they do a little group trip or whatever to go find Sim. And at this point, Sim was actually right next to her body. Sim was actually so let's say this is Sim's physical body. Sim was right there. So Sim was in the vicinity of her body. So when the parents walked up into that direction and they saw Sim, they were like, they saw Sim's body. They were like, oh my God, we found her. But the thing is, the voodoo priest was able to actually see Sim's spirit behind Sim. So when the priest showed up, he saw Sim's body and whoever was inhabiting it, and then he saw Sim's spirit behind the body. And that's when the priest knew this is a whole lot more complicated than the parents think. This is going to require a whole lot more than the parents think. Because then the priest goes and grabs the parents and tells the parents that that is not your daughter. Don't hug her. Don't try to make physical contact with her. She might be extremely dangerous. We don't know what entity is residing inside of this person's body. Do not go close to her. You need to stay away from her. I know she looks like your daughter, but this is just a creature inside of your daughter's body, because your daughter is actually standing behind you. The parents turned around and didn't see anything, so they were like, are you saying our daughter is dead? Like, what are you saying? Like, so they start freaking out, and this priest is like, not to worry, we'll just all come back into my cave and we'll see what I can do. We'll see if I can extract this and actually allow her to come back into her physical body. So now the priest approaches Sim, and needless to say, at this point, Sim tried to run away, okay? But no, they couldn't. Like, at this point, the priest did something, like, he was a really powerful priest, okay? Now, I also know I used New York as a reference. This story did not take place in New York, okay? The girl is Mexican. Then she says this takes place in the United States. She didn't say which state. But anyway, so they take the Sim's physical body back to his cave, and also the spirit obviously followed. So once they got there, that is when the guy started that is when the voodoo priest started mixing up herbs, started chanting, and Sim's physical body literally had to be held down, like tied down by like chains and stuff, because like she just could not be trusted to be let out. Like, she would try to run away, and she would try to actually hurt the people around her really bad. So when they got back into the cave, and them getting her back to the cave was already struggling enough as it was, because this girl was screaming bloody murder and all of this stuff. So once they got back, they had to chain her down so she wouldn't get away. So as they chain her down, her actual spirit is in the room, and the priest would then start with this chant, and he's chanting and he's dancing, and then he's playing the drums really loudly, and then he's also like spilling this liquid on top of Sim's body, like just spilling it over and over and over again, drawing crosses all over her body, and then just like asking whatever spirit to exit, asking whatever spirit, you need to exit, you need to exit, you need to exit, in the name of God, you need to exit. He is a voodoo priest. However, he does believe in God. I don't know why y'all think people who do voodoo don't believe in God. But he was also praying to God, very much so praying to God, while he was trying to extract this demon or this spirit or this entity out of this girl's body. So he's like throwing all these herbs. It smells in the room, and it's really concentrated, and it's really loud, and you can feel the spirit, and it feels thick in the room until finally Sim starts to have a seizure. So she starts to shake like uncontrollably out of nowhere. The parents are wondering, okay, well, what is wrong with her? We don't want her to physically die. Like, what is going on? And the priest is like, you need to trust the process, sit down, like, we're doing, like, this is really powerful, like, whoever took over, we need to get her, I need my full concentration. So the priest is continuing, and this girl is like shaking uncontrollably. She's foaming at the mouth, there's blood coming out of her eyes, her nose, and her ears. Trigger warning. And it is a terrifying, horrifying sight, to which the girl completely passes out. So her body goes completely limp and passes out. Then the priest would go over, unchain her, untie her, and lay her down in a body of water. And from there would continue with more chants. Like, he continued with the chantings, he continues with the spells, he continued with the candles, pouring wax on her body, pouring more holy water on her body, praying to God, like doing more things while her body was submerged underneath the water. And then eventually he allowed her body to come up for air. And when she came up for air, Sim says this is when she felt this weight literally lifted off of her spirit. Quite literally. She felt this weight lifted off of her spirit, because she was then able, she said it felt like a vacuum just sucking her back into her body. And that is when she opened her eyes and she hugged her parents like she's never hugged them before. And she got back home and appreciated her life and appreciated her siblings like she's never had before. Because that was the scariest thing that she had ever experienced up to date. And she said, till this day, she's too traumatized to astral project. So, yeah, she says, if you don't want that to happen, either, you know, make sure you protect your body so other entities can't just come in and take over your shit, or just straight up don't do it, because stop fucking with things y'all don't know about. But I hope you guys appreciated the long story time, the long form story time. A lot of you guys have been asking me to post more long form story times, and I finally did. I posted a long form story time, so I hope you guys enjoy it. It's been a really hard week for me. I only know if you made it this far in the video if you talk about what I'm about to talk about now. It's been a really hard week for me. It is Mother's Day, so my mother passed away when I was young, and that does tear a lot at me around these times. It was her birthday last week, it's Mother's Day this week, and her death day is next week. So I'm just taking it as easy as I can, and I know I haven't been as consistent with the story times and with the content, but I hope you guys do continue to support me in the times that I'm not around or the times that I can't shoot or record these videos. I literally had to push myself to do this one. So I really do hope you guys continue to support me regardless in these times. If you're new here, please go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Now you're gonna get more of these story times. I'm gonna start making them 30 minutes long, because now we're going into conspiracy theories, reaction videos, all of this. So yes, you guys, I'm coming out stronger. After this month, I am coming out so much bigger and stronger. Like, the world will not know what hit me, okay? But yes, thank you guys so much. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure you go and you follow me on Instagram so I know it's real. Follow me on Instagram so I know it's real, please. And if you're not following me on TikTok already, make sure you follow me on TikTok, and comment down below letting me know where you found me from. Did you find me from TikTok or did you find me from YouTube? Let me know. Like, I want to talk to y'all. Y'all talk to me. All right, thank you guys for watching. Bye.